people, this is my mom's show where she talks about us. We give her the things that we give y'all the show. Get Cody, here you come.
Hey guys, welcome back to Cozy Womb Podcast. My name is Shan. Welcome. I am the mama of the girls. I am the creator. I am the host. I am the editor. I am the one who could go to sleep but always find something to do. Welcome. Happy Friday. We made it. We made it to Friday. We made it through another week with our kids, and they're alive, fortunately. Well, y'all see the title. Today I want to talk about building the community for your kids. What does your community say about your neighborhood? What does your community say about you? What does your community say about the resources and opportunities that your children have and will have going forward? Do you know who's, in charge of, your local government? Do you know who's in charge of, if the parks are clean, if the neighborhood is safe? Do you know who works at the fire station that might live in your neighborhood? Do you know who's in charge of what grocery stores are coming into the neighborhood? What corner shops are coming into the neighborhood? Is there a garden for your neighborhood? Why not? Right? The opportunity, the growth over the last 10 years in your neighborhood, the safety of your neighborhood, the transportation, the resources. Is there a place for your kids to safely grow here? Or is it that this is not going to be your last home? This is a just for now home. This is a just for now neighborhood. And I think all of that has to do with the value in our neighborhoods today, because so many of us live places, just because I can afford it. So many of us live places just because this is where we're going to be for right now until something better comes up. So that means the effort isn't being put into our neighborhoods like it should be. The longevity mindset of what we should build on now so our kids can have it easier later isn't there, because a lot of the families now, whether they're in their early 30s or mid 30s or early 40s, are not looking at neighborhoods like, I want to be here for the next 20 years. I want to be here for the next 30 years. They're looking at the neighborhood like, once the price hits a point where we can afford it, we're out. We'll find another state, we'll find another place, and we're just going to temporarily enjoy this home like IKEA furniture. Like, we know the IKEA furniture is not going to last us 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, but it's cute for right now. And I think that's how a lot of us are looking at our communities, and it's not helping our children. It's not helping their opportunities. It's not helping our families with the fact that we can't buy what we really want that's healthy from our stores that's in our neighborhood, because they're not the healthiest. They don't have the best options. There is no great doctors that we want to go to in our neighborhoods because, we don't know who's over that. We don't know why we don't have those options or those resources. And that's what we have to pay attention to. We can't keep temporarily putting our children in neighborhoods and communities that don't help them become good people. And that's what I want to talk about today. Let's chat. Don't forget to check out Cozy Womb Podcast merch on the Cozy Womb shop with Teespring. All right, so let's talk parent-kid news. Most of this is mainly for Georgia because I don't know what's going on everywhere else. So, there was a kid rescued from youth minister accused of making child porn. I have no grace for grown adults taking advantage of young children. I have no patience for grown adults purposely preying on young children. It has to stop. And it's not about if you live in a good community. And it's not about, what did the parents do? Where were the parents? It's the fact that people are manipulative and they will take advantage of your children. And there is no right or wrong age to have the conversation with your children about what's not appropriate and what is appropriate. Who to say no to and who not to say no to. Tell your kids to say no to everyone, even the pastor, even the minister, even the teacher, even the police officer, even the judge, because there was a judge, I think last week, that was charged with having sex with a 14-year-old girl, a grown man who was a judge, having sex with a 14-year-old girl last year multiple times that got no jail time, no probation, and was basically nothing happened to him. Okay? So we have to stop it. We have to be realistic about the fact that once your child can tell what body part they have and where their body parts are on their body, we need to be telling them how to own that, how to protect that. It's not, let's have the conversation about this when they're 13 or when they're 16. That's too late. Because grown adults are preying on your kids of not knowing who they are and not knowing their worth and not knowing what's right or wrong. Okay? Whew! Hate news like that. That happened in North Georgia. In Georgia, sadly, the second infant death from COVID-19 happened within 48 hours apart from each other. So just be aware when it comes to your infants. Their immune systems are not the best. The food that is pushed to parents to feed their infants, again, please pay attention to the recalls on that. Check the cans, check the numbers. Make your baby food if you can. Breastfeed as long as you can. And if you don't want to breastfeed, please pump as much as you can, because the mother's milk is the safest. Say it right, the safest. Okay. What else? The Georgia bill that would allow parents to opt out of school mask mandates is happening. So some schools in Georgia are for kids have to wear masks, and some schools in Georgia are like, parents don't want it. They don't have to, right? I say be prepared, take precautions, give your kids that airborne, up their vitamins, make sure they're getting a balanced meal, whether it's vegetables, small portions of meat, small portions of sugar, proper sleep, build up that immune system. Make sure they're drinking water, lots of water, the right type of water, okay? And just make sure they're making healthy decisions and not being around people who are sick. Don't send your kids to school if they're sick. Okay. Don't put that job over your kids' health. All right. Because you just don't know who they're going to affect later, whether it's going to be a teacher who has a young child at home, or whether it's going to be an elderly teacher who can't really fight off, COVID. So just be responsible. All right. And last, kid news, parent news. What teachers teach about race in Georgia is still a discussion. Parents are still fighting against, race theory being taught to children here in Georgia. I just feel like if it's the truth, if it's past history, and if it's going to prevent ignorance, what are you scared about? And in good news, they passed the lynching bill as a federal hate crime. Took you long enough, okay? The amount of people that were fighting against that being a federal hate crime just tells you the temperature of the U.S. government still in 2022. So how far have we come? realistically. Not that part. But let's get into the episode. Yay! Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. My name is Shan, and I am the creator of Cozy Womb Podcast. I am also the author and creator of The Podcast Journal and Marketing the Podcast 101. It's 2 books available on Hulu focusing on different things but regarding podcasting. So if you're interested in formatting your podcast or finding your flow in podcasting, you should get The Podcast Journal on Lulu.com. If you're interested in marketing your podcast on things like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, or even coming up with what the podcast merch should look like as far as what to put on the website, get that book. It's a workbook that you can put your own twist on, your own thoughts in, and you can carry it around with you everywhere. Get it today on Lulu.com. Now back to the show.
Here we go.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
Can we talk for a minute? Let's talk about community. FYI, The Community, that show was really good. There was a time to be alive, okay? What is the purpose of the people where you live? Like for me, I know my neighbors to the left, but I don't know my neighbor across the street. The owner of the house told me that they're French, but I don't talk to them, but I see them every once and again. It's about 4 people living in that house. Everybody works, and they come home at different times, okay? And sometimes they like to park on their lawn. To the right of them is 2 older ladies that live together. I don't know if they're related. I don't know if they're married, but I know they like to garden a lot, and on holidays they have a lot of family that comes over. And the house that's to the left of me, I think, is being sold because they just did the roof. They did the yard the other day, and I saw a moving truck, but I haven't seen anybody like consistently coming in and out of there. But at the same time, I don't talk to these people every day. They don't know me by name. And I'm only like that because I'm a single mom. I'm not married. I'm not in a relationship. There's not a man coming to my house every day that, will protect me from any harm. And I don't want a lot of people knowing that is my setup. And I don't want a lot of people knowing that I live here alone with 2 little kids and their girls, and, I'm a target. So I keep to myself. Because I don't own this house and I don't have any longevity goals for this house other than, I can afford to stay here for now. I don't invest in who my neighbors are. I don't invest in what's going on in this neighborhood. And I think that's the problem, like I was saying earlier, with people who are just living for the now and not for the future, because a lot of us are not in a position to be like, you know what? I'm buying a house this year. That's it. I can afford it. And I have the lifestyle to support me owning a house while working, while, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder. It's not easy to do that by yourself. Not today. Y'all see the gas prices? Oh my God. All right. So what do you do in your neighborhood? Like, that's super important when building community. Where are the neighbors from? Where are the people in the community from? Were they born and raised here? Did they migrate here from somewhere else? Are they just here temporarily? What do they do for work? Not to get in anybody's business, but if people offer the information, it's nice to know. But I'm not telling you to pry and be like, so what do you do? some people don't want you all in their business, because then you assume what they have and what they can do and what they should be doing because of what they do. You know what I'm saying? It gets really mind your business levels. But at the same time, if they offer the information, it's nice to know, right? Do you clean up your neighborhood? Now, one thing I will say about my neighborhood, all the houses look different. And I feel like I live in a neighborhood of people who are at least 30 plus and older. And they might have like grandkids in this neighborhood, or they might have kids that are teenagers. And I'm so happy, because when I had a house in Atlanta, it was young people racing up and down the street, 5, 6 grandchildren at the grandma's house across the street, and they were loud and they were random, and there was no sidewalks in the neighborhood, and it was just like everybody for themselves. And I remember the lady next to me before I moved, she had 7 kids ranging from age 2 to 17. Ma'am, and she was a single mom, and I'm just like, girl, how? I only got 2 and I'm stressed, okay? But it's good to know your community. And do you even speak to people where you live? Why don't you speak to people? Did they show you something about themselves? You're just like, oh no, I don't want to be affiliated? Or is it that you don't know how to speak to people? Right? And you have to be aware of that, because no matter what, if your house is on fire and you don't know, it might be your neighbor that helps you. If your car has a flat tire, it might be your neighbor that helps you. If you need a jump, it might be your neighbor that helps you. If you need a hammer, it might be your neighbor that has a hammer. But I have all of those things. But I'm just saying, you can't be so closed off and feel like you're going to be able to do everything that you're going to need in your life without knowing that they're an option for help, or you might be the option for help, right? So when it comes to your community and where your kids play, where they go to school, the other kids that live around there that they might go to school with, like, you never know when knowing someone else or having awareness of something else can help you or your neighbor, right? And we can't live in communities that we want to be good to our children where we're not good to our communities. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying trust everybody because you live around them. I'm just saying be aware of everyone. And this is just an end, because I feel like everybody should know it. There's a let me tell you what the app is. I mentioned it before, but I'm gonna mention it again because this does involve community. Where is it on my phone? Where are you on my phone? That's the Where Are the app on my phone. I hate looking for stuff on my phone when I want it, because I gotta remember what the icon looks like. Hold on. Where is the app? Where is the app? Where is the app? Not find my phone. So while I'm looking for this, I think it's important to know what options your community might offer you, because not knowing it, you might pay more for something that you could pay for less. You might go further for something that you think is not in your community, and it is. Here it is, the Offender Locator. That is a great app to have if you live in a neighborhood that you're new to, or you live in a neighborhood that you want to get familiar with. Basically, that app, not to be negative, but to be preventative. It tells you where any sex offender or a rapist or anyone with a negative background may live in your neighborhood within a certain mile radius. It's exact. Some of it will tell you it'll show you their face, their address, what their charge is. Some of them won't show you the charges up front. You will have to call a local police station to figure out what their charge is, just to be aware of who you're around, who your kids might ride their bike near, what house not to go to for trick-or-treating. Like, that's what you need to know about your community to be preventative. I don't know how it is for like major cities, but it works well in all of the neighborhoods in Georgia, okay? And it has the street names on it and everything, and you can pay to have more options within the app, but for the most part, the app is free. It's called the Offender Locator, okay? It's good to know all of the parks in your neighborhood. I like to know that for the girls because they are 4 and 8, and they like to go to the park a lot, even though I have a big backyard with lots of toys in there, a trampoline, dirt, and all types of kid stuff, right? But the girls love to play in the dirt. I don't get it. Why are you playing with sticks when there's all these toys back here? Make it make sense. But, kids. Do you want to know ways that you can help out in the community? That's a question for you. That is also a question for other people in the neighborhood. How do you want a good community or your kids to go to a good school with lots of options if you don't even volunteer at the school sometimes? Or the school is not aware that you do something that may help them? Or you're really good at mathematics. Maybe you could tutor one day a week or one day a month. Or maybe, there's some kids struggling in reading. Maybe you could make like a book club. Like, there's ways that you can help out in your community. You have to open your mouth. You have to open your mind. You have to be willing to give value in order to get value back. Like, it's a give and take thing, just like any other relationship. But it's with your community, right? Do you know who is outside playing with your kids? It is super important for you to know the parents of the kids that your children frequently play with, because whatever parents are doing in a household will rub off on children, and children will go outside and do it to other people. They will go outside and say it to other people. So getting to know who your children are playing with, who that kid's parents are, just to make sure that they're safe sometimes, just to make sure that, you know where they need to be if it's getting dark and you need to bring your kids in and you're wondering why they're still outside in the street on their bike playing in the dark. Hello? Hey, Mrs. Such and Such. I'm just about to take the girls in the house. It's getting dark. Wink, wink. Don't you think you need to be pulling your child in? Big eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, some parents are not on point like other parents, but even little hints like that might help the parent that's not so on point. Maybe it's not smart that your child is playing in the cul-de-sac on their bike while it's getting dark outside, and people don't expect a child to be out here in the dark, and it's just not smart for you to be having this child ride his bike around and cars are flying in because they're sick of their workday. Like, each one help one, right? Do kids in the neighborhood speak? Do they speak to you? Do you speak to them? Do you let them know that, hey, I'm Anya's mom, call me such and such. Hey, I'm Ari's mom, call me such and such, right? A couple of kids came to the door and they asked if the girls could come over and play. No. Can they come outside and play? No, because I don't know their parents. I don't know them. And when my kids are outside and I am not outside with my kids, unless they're in the backyard, I have anxiety. I have anxiety because it takes 2 minutes for children to go missing. It takes 2 minutes for something life-changing to happen to children. And you never know what people's truest intentions.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Are these days. So if I'm not at someone's house, my children probably aren't going. If I'm not sitting outside, my children probably aren't not playing with the kids outside. If I'm not all eyes at the park, my children are not going to the park without me. I just know too much. I watch too many crime shows to be okay with the leniency of being like, go outside. I see you at 6 o'clock. No, that's something my generation did. I was born in 87. My mom, I was the youngest of 5 boys. My mom would we would wake up, we would eat breakfast. It would be like 10 o'clock. My mom would be like, okay, y'all could go outside. Be back before 6 when the lights come on. And we would be outside all day. We would probably come in and use a bathroom if we didn't go to another friend's house, which is something I'm just like, But that's something we did. We would come in for a drink of water. We would come in for ice cream money. But we would be outside all day. My kids will never do that in their lifetime. Ever. What are you talking about? It's different times. I know too much. That's a no for me. But, knowing kids' parents in the community is very important. If you go to the park a lot and you see a familiar face, this is like the 30th time you've seen this mom and this kid or this grandma and these children, you can say hi, you can have a little conversation, but you just can't on a whim see somebody for the first time and be like, oh, that's my friend I met at the park. I tell the girls all the time, that's not your friend. That's just a girl that was playing in the park, same day you were, same time. And if you see her 10 more times, then yes, y'all could possibly become friends. But today's the first day we seen her. We gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to pump your brakes, okay? Pump your brakes, okay? Talk to your kids about that. Everybody that you meet is not a friend. It's just somebody that happened to be there, okay? You could do cleanup days in your neighborhood. You could do garage sales to get to know people in your neighborhood. Barbecue day. There's a house like 5 minutes from my house that always does like yard sales of like detergent. I guess there are like couponers because they always got a whole bunch of detergent and fabric softeners and clothes and all types of stuff that they pull out on their lawn. Their lawn is really big and people pull up every weekend to buy from them. And that's how they bring in money from couponing and doing all types of stuff and selling off stuff. And I'm not mad at it. But I don't want people to know that my house is the house that has a garage sale or a yard sale every Saturday. That's just, I don't want that commitment. But some people do, right? Do you help out the homeless in your community? Do you know the homeless are usually at? When you put things away for seasons and you want to throw things out, is it usable by somebody else or is it like beyond usable and you need to throw it away? If things are usable by somebody else, it's nothing to donate it. It's nothing to keep a blanket in your trunk during the winter to possibly give to the homeless, or jackets or socks or shirts or toiletries, like them dollar toiletries. If you could buy like 20 different toiletries and keep Ziploc bags in your car, and if you see a homeless person, just pull over to the side of the road and give it to them. That's nothing, but that's something you could do in your neighborhood. And when people see you, I promise you, they'd be like, oh, that's the lady that does that such and such, or that's the guy that does such and such. Or one thing I do like when my lawn man comes to cut my grass is he'll cut the grass for the other people across the street, or even the other people in the cul-de-sac, and they don't know me, but they know when I get my grass cut, after he cuts her grass, I'm gonna go ahead and ask him if he could cut my grass. And that's how I basically provide money to go to my lawn guy. And I'm like somebody that they know cares enough about what their house and their yard looks like to cut their grass. And they also care. And so when your neighbors care about what your neighborhood looks like, you gonna care. And it makes other people care. And that makes me feel good that Me caring makes other people start caring. So just think about it. Like, donate food, coats, supplies to churches or schools. Have a community garden. I know they have one in Atlanta near Lakewood where they grow all types of different crops and stuff. You can have a park cleanup day. If it's like a major city, I know different people come through the park. Some people care about the park, some people don't. But you could have like a park cleanup day where your kids might play at the park and you could clean up with some gloves and some stuff and just make sure everything's in the trash. Because when you live somewhere where your kids get to see that you care and you clean up, then they'll start to care. But when kids live in a community where they never see people clean up, people don't talk to other people nicely. People throw trash on the ground. People smoke and they don't care. They break bottles, or it's not safe, or there was like a few shootings, last week. Oh, they was shooting last night. Like, who wants to send their kids outside to play in that? Who wants to raise their kids in that if they have a decision not to? I know I don't. So just think about it. What value do you bring to the place that you live and where your children play? Question for you. Question for me. Do you know business owners in your community? Who owns the deli? Who owns that grocery store? Who are the people in your government, in your local government, that make a difference? Who are the people that are in control of if there's sidewalks on this street, the transit system, the recreation center, the food security in your area? What foods they're selling in the grocery store? Do they trim the trees back from the signs so you can see the signs? One thing about Georgia, there's streets upon streets that have no street lights. So if your light is out, you might as well just park the car because you're not going to be able to see. There's deer running across every road. There's gas stations far and few between, depending on what street you're on. Who's in charge of the street lights? Who's in charge of making sure there's no potholes on certain streets messing up your car? Who's the neighborhood watch? Do you have a neighborhood watch? Do you know the person to go to when your car has been broken into to let all the other neighbors know? Who's the person that you go to let, somebody's been going into my mailbox for the past 3 weeks and taking my mail? That will help your neighbor to the left out and your neighbor to the right out. But you have to know who to talk to let everybody else be aware. You have to let them know who's been speeding through the neighborhood. Are they thinking about putting speed bumps through the neighborhood? Who's in charge of that? Like, that's about knowing your neighborhood and knowing your community, right? Who's in charge of housing? Do you share knowledge that you have about new businesses coming to the neighborhood with your neighbors? Who's in charge of picking up the trash? Where do you shop?
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
Locally, do you support people who have local honey over buying the major company honey in the major grocery stores? Like, if we don't support the people in our community that live in our community, that have businesses in our community, they're going to disappear. They're going to disappear, and everything is going to be super corporate owned. And our communities are not going to have any identity. And Texas is going to look like Georgia. And Georgia is going to look like Maryland. And North Dakota's grocery stores are going to start looking like Florida's grocery stores. And what's the point of having different states with different temperatures, with different people, if we all got the same stuff? No character. Okay? So support your community, build your community up, add value to get value, and just be someone that's go-to for something in your community. Know at least 3 of your neighbors. Talk to the people in your grocery store. You go to that same grocery store all the time. At least 2 people should know your name. I remember when my favorite uncle Ron was alive, and he would go to a couple of Publix grocery stores in his neighborhood, and people will know him by name. He will talk to the people that work there. They will always have conversations, and I really liked that he had that relationship with the people in his community. And I remember when he died, and I felt bad because one day or 1 week they just noticed that he wasn't coming in, and I was like, dang, do I tell them? Do I not tell them? Do I need to make an announcement? And that's what happens when people enjoy the communities that they are in versus when people just are passing through. And so my question for you is, are you passing through the community that your child is living in or will be in for the next 5 to 10 years? Or are you making pivotal decisions in your community to add value? And my thing is, if you own a home in the community that you're in and you don't see yourself moving in the next 5 to 7 years, get familiar with somebody doing something and adding some value so your kids can see, so they can be better people and become better adults. My name is Shan. This is Cozy Womb Podcast. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your Friday. I have another show to record because I put a lot on my plate. But I did take off my Friday. I do have PTO because mom self-care is a real thing, and that is why I'm doing today. And I will have a great day. I hope you'll have a great day. Don't forget to check out the Cozy Womb shop with Teespring. Don't forget to check out lulu.com for my 2 podcast books, one about marketing your podcast and one about finding your flow in your podcast. And also don't forget to find me on TikTok at ShanBPodden and on Twitter and IG at The Cozy Womb Podcast. The CZYWMB pod or podcast, or Twitter or IG. Check you guys next Monday. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to wash your hands and read to your kids. And if you need them to go to bed, you heard that? And that's why they have a bedtime, even on the weekends, because they don't never listen to me. But let me get up out of here. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.